Hi, I'm Milton Kane for Christians for Community. Today it was reported in the Sydney Morning Herald that there is a promise not being able to be given by the Premier. He is not going to promise that he will not privatise any other government utility. He said he would not rule in or rule out the privatisation of Sydney Water. I note that the Leader of the Opposition, he speaks very heavily against such things as privatisation. And yet, when we have a look at the infrastructure which both sides, both major parties, are putting up, the infrastructure expenditure, we've got to ask the question, where is the money coming from? I guess one of the big problems that we have is we often forget how government has funded things in the past. In the past, what would happen is the government would borrow money from the community at large and issue government bonds. Those government bonds may be for a period of 10, 15, 20 years, and you would earn a certain interest rate on them. Those government bonds would be traded on the share market from time to time. With those government bonds, there was interest being paid on them for each year that those government bonds were out. And at the end of the period of time, whichever it was, whether it be a 5, 10, 15, 20-year bond, then the government would pay back the entirety of the money that was there, that was owed. How did the government raise the money to do this? Well, it actually was originally by New South Wales Lotteries. At that time, the New South Wales Lotteries was owned by the government. New South Wales Lotteries were having various types of lotteries. We may all remember, those of us a bit older, remember things like the St George Hospital Lottery, the Opera House Lottery. We all may remember that. In those lotteries, the situation was that if you were a winner of a prize, you only won a small amount of money. There wasn't millions involved that you would win. It was usually only thousands and tens of thousands, perhaps. There was a lot of money made by government by these. And the risk of people getting into financial difficulty and being involved in this form of gaming, which it really is, was not very high. There are some people who, for example, used a service, were helped by a particular service, and when that organisation wanted to raise some more funds to do various things, they would in fact buy lottery tickets for them. I, in fact, spent a lot of time of my youth in Western Australia in the Princess Margaret Hospital. And for many years, I would pay money to buy lottery tickets for the Princess Margaret Hospital lottery. But you might find it hard to take, but I never bothered to check whether or not I had won anything. Because basically what I was trying to find is a vehicle to say thank you to the hospital. I hear quite well today because of the work done on my ears, which were really in need of urgent and very complicated surgery during many years of my youth. However, it was Neville Wran that decided to sell New South Wales Lotteries. What he actually did when he did that, when he privatised New South Wales Lotteries, what he did two things actually. The first thing he did was he took away the capacity of New South Wales government of being able to raise money to pay for government bonds. And the second thing he did, he opened the floodgate so that the gaming industry could in fact start affecting people's lives to the point where people were going to chase after huge payouts. Back in the days when it was owned by the government, many people would receive small prizes. And then, when it was taken over, as it was privatised, suddenly there was a huge drawing card, millions of dollars. That's what Lotto's all about. And so many people would buy many tickets in it to try and get a chance to win out of this particular program. My concern that we have in regard to all of this is, first of all, the government in privatising things is taking away from the public the things that the public ought to have. We know we are paying a lot more for electricity because it was privatised. We know we are paying a lot more for so many things because they were privatised. I think we've got to get back to the basics and determine that which the government ought to own and that which they ought not own. When it comes to housing affordability, it was the government that chose to sell off the record keeping for your housing. The Land Titles Office was sold to private enterprise. And yet the money that was paid so that the Land Titles Office could function when you purchased a property is still being paid today. And in fact, there's a move towards having this particular payment to become an ongoing, not a once-off payment at time of purchase, but an ongoing payment for the life that you own the property. There are major concerns about the direction of government because what they are doing is they're having an insatiable desire to spend that which they do not have, and therefore have to come up with some schemes, some Mickey Mouse schemes to try and raise the money. And every time they do that, it costs you and I, the taxpayer, more money to be able to survive in our world today. We need to go a new way. We need a better path. You need to elect me on March 25 to the Legislative Council. I am Milton Kane, a candidate for the Legislative Council of New South Wales in the March 25, 2023 state election. Thank you.